It's the first time in over 20 years that Rally Poland is going to be taking place on tarmac instead of gravel, but it is a familiar rally to our ERC crews. Let's look ahead to a rebranded former Rally Silesia, now Rally Poland. And we'll start off with the entry list for this event. First seed is Championship leader Teemu Selänne, and then second seed is the leading local star, reigning ERC champion Mikko Marcek, who is hoping that his home event will bring good fortunes. He's been having a bit of a struggle in his title defence. Andrea Mabellini, who last won this back in 2024 when it was on the ERC calendar, is third, and he's in the Lancia Ypsilon. The other two are in Fabia's, as are the next two of Isaac Rierson and Simona Tempestini. Behind them we have Will Crichton, we have Marco Bellaccia, with Crichton behind the wheel of a C3. Then we have Jakub Matulka, Dominik Strzelecki and Tristan Charpentier all in Fabia's. Then you have the MRF of Eric Seiss, who is going to be driving an Hyundai i20 Rally 2 car. And then we have a run 3 Yaris's for Roberto Black, another local star in Kajtan Katanovic, the 3-time ERC champion, and Philip Allen. And then it's another run of Fabia's to round out the Rally 2 and main ERC entry list. It's absolutely wild. There are, no Fords in here. There is, one Lancia and a handful of Toyotas and a Hyundai. It is Skoda City here. Louis Constant, Jarosław Szeja, Adrian Zheznik, Jarosław Kuptun, Shibidev Gabrish, Adam Schroker, Gabor Nemet, and Andrei Gertefan. 23 Rally 2 cars entered for top class honours here. In the Rally 3s, it is led by Ville Vatanen, with Lukas Zielinski second, CJ Coleman, Kate Greihill, Petr Kaczarek, Callum Graffin, Kian Caldwell, Igor Vidwak, Bajej Gazda, and then we've got a handful more Rally 3s as well. We've got a bit more variety in here. We've got a handful of Clios amongst a field that is mostly Fords. Of course, the Ford Rally 3 cars are built in Poland, not too far away in Krakow. So after that, we have Sebastian Baczynski, Michał Korbinski, Marcin Gurney, Tomasz Bargiel, Tadeusz Bienko, and I believe that rounds out the Rally 3 list. For the Rally 4s, we have a many, we have a few. Timo Schultz will lead off the list, and then it's Davide Pesavento, Tom Heinrichs, Tommaso Sandrin, Marco Neulinger, Carl-Peter Nordstrand, and Marcus Butakis. All Stellantis cars, by the way. Half of them Corsas, half of them Ypsilons. Then we have the first Ford for Colin Dumke. Then it's back to Stellantis for the rest of the Rally 4 entry list. We do end up having some variety. We have a handful of Peugeots, first one of them being Ray Suleiman. Then Claire Schoenborn, who you might remember from the Beyond Rally programme. Francesco Pacanella, Sebastian Dalla Piccola, Francesco De Cecchi, Atto Hakaleto, Callum McBride, Philip Shiposh, Anthony Rott, Ludwig Zigliani, Łukasz Kaplita, and Dariusz Polonsky will be rounding out the Rally 4 entry list. We then have a handful of drivers who are entered for the event, bringing the total to 61, but they're not entered for any class or overall honours. Those are Jerome France, who is behind the wheel of an Alpine A110, Sergius Janowski, who is behind the wheel of Clio Rally 4, and Adrian Hielnowiec, behind the wheel of a Peugeot 208. I hope I got those pronunciations right. I have a feeling that I probably batted above average on the pronunciations this time around. Now, as for the stages, they will take place over the course of the Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday, with a Friday night super special, Saturday having 2 loops of 3 stages being rounded out by a super special, and then Sunday being, by my count, that's 7 stages with only a tyre fitting zone in the middle of it. It will be a bit of a marathon test there, 90 kilometres without a service. Bringing the total of competitive kilometres to 187.6. We'll start off with the shakedown and qualifying test, and that is the Birun test. on the outskirts of the town. It was last used in 2023 as the shakedown, so this will be familiar for a lot of the local drivers, potentially some people who've done different Central European Championships, or I think this was part of the ERT, like the second level ERC for a while. So there'll be some drivers who may be familiar with it, but lots of drivers will be familiar with the opening test, the GZM Katowice test, which did open up the previous few editions of Rally Silesia. It is slightly different this year. It is slightly longer. You go on to another donut near the 79, just towards the end of the test. Saturday's action is 2 loops of 3 stages with a super special rounding out the test. First up is the Jaczespi's Droy test. This one did feature in 2024 and it remains unchanged. It is lots of back roads, a couple of blasts down some main roads as well, but you go through some towns and villages. There are some built-in chicanes as well, and a couple of nice little spectator spots. One of the things that's quite nice about Silesia is you end up with lots of lakes and rivers that you're running by. It's really picturesque in that part of the world. Akabe will be the next one, and again, it is largely unchanged from the 2024 editions. A couple of kilometers added on at the start, and then a couple of kilometers taken off towards the end to make up the 0.4 kilometers worth of difference in the distance for this test. I think it is a bit more familiar to people who would have run it in 2023, where the start was a little bit different. And then the third stage of each of Saturday's loops is the Gmina Jasienica test. 19 kilometers. It was 19.78 last time around. So the first half of the stage is familiar, and then we take a different route for the second half of the test. We sort of go back on the different parts of the route from the previous edition, which is pretty cool. It will add some variety and it will add some differences compared to what we've seen before. Stage 8, the final stage on Saturday, is Silesian Stadium test, right outside of, Stadion Swansky, and it's unchanged from previous years. Perhaps, unsurprisingly. Still 1.5 kilometers. Yeah. Sunday. Now, Sunday is going to be its own beast. We start off with the Jebek test, I think that's how I pronounce it. 6.5 kilometers. It was last run in Rally Poland 1973, the inaugural season of the WRC. I think that's the round that only had 3 finishers. It was stages 3 and 27 at that point, and most of the stages are the same as it was in 1973. It's absolutely wild, but it's absolutely wonderful to see something like that as well. It's great to see more tarmac rallies. It's why I like the ERC, is it's got more tarmac than gravel, and it's compared to the WRC, where we have an entire second half of the season without a tarmac rally. And yeah, we go back in history. We look at a stage from 1973 for this test. I can't stress how psyched I am for this particular stage. We then have stages 10 and 13, which is the Katowice test. It was, in 2024, the Silesian Voivodeship test. That moniker is carried across to the power stage for this year, though that is a different test altogether. That said, this one runs the exact same route as the power stage from 2024, which is why it's a bit of a shame that we don't, have like a John Armstrong here. We do have an Andrea Mabellini, who was absolutely rapid, as I mentioned. So, could see something interesting there. The Hajlak test, 17.45 kilometers, is going to be serving as stages 11 and 14. 17.45 kilometers, again, one that is unchanged from 2024. Follows a similar kind of rhythm to some of the other stages we've been talking about. You've got some back roads running into forests, and then some bits around towns and on main roads, which could be quite fun to spectate. And then, last but by no means least, the Silesian Voivodeship test. This, in 2024, was Maklovice Gorna. It was 11.46 kilometers back then. It runs right along the Czech border. Like, you can see Czechia from the from most of the stage. which is going to be really cool given the Barham Rally is the next one after Silesia. So it's really nice in terms of the structure of the ERC this year. 11.9 kilometers this time around. The main difference is we go on a bit further to a later junction and go into a spectatory kind of arena on the outskirts of Pionski. But yeah, this was a fun test back then. It fits the character of the rally. Let's see how it goes. And as a reminder of what happened in 2024, the podium was Andrea Mabellini in an MRF shod Skoda from John Armstrong on Pirelli shod Fiesta, and then third place was Pirelli shod Hyundai in Hayden Paddon. Miko Marchik was 4th, Matthew Franceschi was 5th, Jan Bonato was 6th. And then it was rounding out the top 10, Gregor Gib, Yaroslav Sheya, Zibinev, Gabrish, and Philip Allen. The rest of the points being rounded out by Łukasz Biskinevich, Jaroslav Kolton, Jakub Batulka, Mila Johansson, and Piotr Krotoszyński. So that was the Rally 2 field, and Mila Johansson, by the way, was in a Rally 3, 14th place, got overall points. We've got a lot of drivers that you could say are ones to watch for this event, and quite a lot of them were here in 2024, but quite a lot of the 2024 stars are not here for this one. So in terms of ones to watch for this event, I don't really know who to say. I would say keep an eye on what Mabellini does. That, I was about to say Fabia, but he's one of the lead stars not in a Fabia. That Ypsilon has been great on tarmac rallies this year, and it is the newest of the Rally 2 field, so it could end up doing quite well. That said, you'd be a bit silly to rule out Fabias, given that just because they're one of the oldest ones in the field. They're not the oldest car in the field, because Crichton's got a C3, but they are one of the oldest cars in the field. I wouldn't rule them out. I'd expect Marchik to perform well. I'd expect Samu Sinanen to have a relatively sensible performance as well. If MRF tyres end up being a deciding factor, Tempestini can make the most of any opportunity that's presented to him. But we also have other ERC winners here, like Dominik Strzelecki. We have people like Kajtan Katanovic, who he will be up towards the pointy end of the field. You will never be able to rule him out on that one. And heck, when you look at the other Yaris's, you've got Roberto Black and you've got Philip Allen, who scored points there last time around. So it's really hard to make that prediction. But as always, folks, let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching and joining, and I hope to see you either next Sunday or possibly the Monday after, when we sit down and we talk about this wonderful event. Till then, bye for now.